26th day of September 2022, Monday 26092022. This is Power Corridor on Law FM 103.9. Power Corridor is a non-partisan platform for discussions aimed at gaining clarity, balance, and setting the right agenda for societal change. I repeat, Power Corridor is a non-partisan, and that phraseology, that phrase is quite important, non-partisan platform for discussions aimed at gaining clarity, giving balance, and setting the right agenda for societal change. To join the conversation live or catch up on previous episodes, follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/lawfmradio, www.facebook.com/lawfmradio. On Instagram, we are at Law FM Radio. Our Twitter handle is at Law FM_radio. You can listen live on our website from anywhere in the world on www.lawfmng.com. lawfmng.com. The studio numbers, you need to save this in case you want to ask questions, make inquiries, or give opinions when we get to the interactive segment of the show. The studio numbers are 070-322-77338, 070-322-77338, or 090-9555-1039, 090-9555-1039. You can also call, send WhatsApp or text messages through those numbers. My name is Gbola Oba, and I'm available on social media at facebook.com/Gbola.Oba, facebook.com/Gbola.Oba, on Instagram, Gbola Oba. My Twitter handle is at Gbola Oba. Our Nigerian proverb for today. When the axe entered the forest, the trees said, "Look, the handle is one of us." When the axe entered the forest, the trees bellowed, "Look, the handle is one of us." Summary analysis of some of the major news headlines for today. ASU, 7 months after federal government orders vice chancellors to reopen schools. ASU, 7 months after federal government orders VCs to reopen schools. I guess in the backdrop of the court order, federal government wants universities opened by vice chancellors. I just wonder how VCs alone can run universities without the cooperation of ASU members. And I wonder what technicality ASU members too are holding on to be seemingly defying a clear court injunction or other. The national grid crashes again for the 7th time in 2022 at 10:51 a.m. today. The national grid crashes once again for the 7th time in 2022 at about 10:51 a.m. today. For a couple of weeks, many of us lived in delusion, thinking that we've passed this. Let me keep my peace and just move to the last item. Obi's supporters tackled Chani boy over quote unquote locked down Abuja rally. Obi's supporters tackled Charlie boy over quote unquote I locked down Abuja today for the Abuja rally. Self-gloating, self-aggrandizement, self-promotion is quite becoming a tradition in Nigeria now. Somebody partook in a rally that hundreds of people were part of, and when he wanted to tweet about it or report it to the world, he reported it as though he was the only. But you know what? Some of us are not shocked. It's almost the tradition in some parts of the world where you see some people wanting to take the glory for the efforts of the many. This is where we wrap up this introductory segment. We'll go on a short break, and when we're back, we do our literary intro and we take on our guest for today.
AKLI of Africa, you're listening to Law FM 103.9 for knowledge and entertainment. Nobila.
Listening just got better.
I tried so hard and got so far.
You are the leaders of the country today. Tomorrow has come. Law is meant to be understood by everyone in society, irrespective of age or status. No bias. It should be clear and precise. Law FM 103.9 gives you the best content, and they are here for you. My name is Khadija Okunulamidi, and I urge you to keep listening to Law FM 103.9.
News never slows down,
despite several challenges they face.
and neither do we.
Years I was in PDP. Nobody can question my loyalty to the party.
That's why Nigeria's finest, fastest growing news station is Law FM 103.9, the place for knowledge and entertainment.
When you listen to this station, you learn about your rights. You discover the law in ways you never imagined. You know why? Because we broadcast in your interest.
It's a problem that we are all experiencing in the country. Different parts of the country, the same thing is happening. So what do we call on to? Who do we hold responsible?
We impart knowledge.
If the grid is unable to shed the load that it ought to, it could also result in the collapse of the national grid.
Call it what you may, but we are here to stay. The law was never biased, so why should it be now? To every individual, we are Law FM 103.9.
Fact or fiction? This is Law FM 103.9.
Power Corridor on Law FM 103.9.
Welcome back to Power Corridor on Law FM 103.9. We are now in the very engaging, interesting, scintillating segment of the show where we formally introduce our guest and we engage our guest, and we ultimately allow our listeners to also interact with the guest. In my promotional for this episode, I wrote on my social media platform with the picture of the guest that it's about time any fair-minded journalist, any journalist who is fair-minded, about time we gave attention, we gave publicity, we gave platform to the obedient movement. And our guest today is one of the most vociferous, one of the most conspicuous, one of the most visible speakers for the movement. However, as it is our wont or our tradition, we'll be doing a literary reading before we formally introduce our guest. The obedient movement. Can a volcanic, youthful, and seemingly tribal anger metamorphose to a sustainable political force? The youths of Nigeria, nay, a sizable percentage of Nigerians, are in one way, shape, or form angry. Very, very angry indeed. But anger, like fire, can be both useful and dangerous. To a critical mind, how a man who was the vice presidential candidate of one of the two most stigmatized political players in the land just 4 years ago can now be cloaked in the garment of a saint is befuddling. Such, however, is the sovereign working of anger. After all, anger is often most exploited for destructive force, like the anarchic denouement of answers, except in few instances when it helps the cause of emancipation. Holy anger indeed. One thing that is obvious in the Nigerian partisan space now is the full manifestation of a third force alternative to the two main political parties that have largely fanned the anger of Nigerians with national misgovernance. My fear is liberal democracies, if the aberration we practice here can be called one, abound with thought forces often unwittingly dissipating the force needed to serve the ruling parties the desired electoral comeuppance. The question, in conclusion, is, were we not here in 2015 when we placed much hope on a partisan whose past speaks incongruously to our hope? Is it deja vu all over again? Our guest today is an intellectually resourceful brother and friend, Professor Nwaokabia, who will do me the honor of properly introducing himself and the tangential connection he has with the obedient movement. My brother, good evening.
Good evening, my one. Let me say that your intro suffices. Interestingly, you chose my traditional name, my native name, Chukwudumebi, but my name, by which I'm known everywhere, is Chris Mustapha Nwaokabia Jr. I'm a lawyer by training, and I'm the convener of Country First movement. Bola, it's beautiful when I listen to you, largely because of your sagacity. But let me say here that 2 points in your intro did resonate. You said ethnic anger. I disagree. And then
I said useful. I said youthful. I know we will have to. Let me read it out.
No, the first part of it.
I said can a volcanic youthful and seemingly tribal anger.
Yeah, seemingly tribal anger. Yeah, that's exactly the point I disagree with. And then let me say clearly that I would, for the purposes of our listeners who perhaps will be very interested in this topic, because if there is any subject that resonates across our country, it's the obedient movement. It's become a volcanic eruption of sorts. On our hands, we have a ballot-based people's revolution building, and Nigerians are saying that they want a new deal. Then the second part of your introduction that did resonate with me was where you talked about the fact that in 2019, Peter Obi was the vice presidential candidate of one of the major and the most stigmatized parties. Yes, you're correct. But let me say clearly that before he joined the People's Democratic Party, for 8 years he was a governor under and I'm going to marry two situations here. He was 8 years the governor under a party that is basically and majorly a regional party. That's the All Progressive Grand Alliance, the APGA. And after his tenure as governor, he said it was time to move to a bigger turf and give to the Nigerian enterprise, the Nigerian state, what he did in Anambra. And I want to say without fear of equivocation that the records are there. With respect to, I'll give you 3 quick ones. Before he became the governor of Anambra State, the rating of education of that state was about number 26. And in 4 years, Anambra had moved from, in law would say leapfrogging, Anambra had moved from number 26 to number 1. That's a magical attention to a magical leap. That's a magical feat. And that was because he committed himself to education. He gave his best to ensuring that Anambra State became the best, number 1 in education. Then, with respect to security, which is a major challenge that we have in our country today, Anambra State under him, for 5 years, according to the Inspector General of Police then, was the safest state in the country. He inherited a state that was badly checkered, messed up by the Bakassi boys, who reigned supreme, if you like, under his predecessor, if you like, the governor that was there before him, Mbadi Juju. And when Peter Obi became the governor of Anambra State, what he did was to re-equip and support the police, which was at that point, which is a federal institution. But what he did was to ensure that, like our constitution says, that the chief responsibility of government is the protection of lives and properties. He attended to issues of security. That's number 2. Then number 3, he opened the space for business. I think that that is why when he says that what he's going to do as president is to move Nigeria from consumption to production, it does resonate. And now I want to say that it is not necessarily about anger. It is about people who have woken up to the urgency of now. Bola, as you and I speak, between the 2 major parties, the APC and the PDP, is 70 months of ASU strike. That means that our children, our siblings, our wards, our people have lost almost 6 years of academic time to strike between the APC and the PDP. As you and I talk, fundamentally, we have seen a successive fall in the value of our currency. And then at the point when we did think towards the end of Obasanjo's administration that it was going to be some kind of respite when our debts were written off. We did not know. Little did we know that in so short a time we're going to have a spiral, if you like. And the present administration have come to tell us that those funds were spent on infrastructure. Bola, graduate, compare, look at the issues, and ask yourself, if this government inherited a debt burden of less than 10 billion, and in 7 years we have almost 40 trillion. A debt burden of less than 10 trillion. No, I'm trying to lay a foundation. So Nigerians are no longer caught by the perfidy, the mendacity or the deceit of the two major parties. Nigerians are looking for something different. Nigerians are looking for a new deal. Nigerians want someone who is frugal rather than profligate. Nigerians are looking for somebody who would say that my watch will be to ensure that the Nigerian people's resources works for the Nigerian people. And that's what they have found in Peter.
Because you know radio, we don't have much time, and we really have to make it a dialogue, not a monologue of a sort. You will agree with me, my brother, that especially you and I were on this kind of move in 2014, 2015, and the same eloquence that you are exhibiting now, you dispensed then, and it turned out to be not what many of us then.
A one-chance travel instead of change. I agree.
So I'm kind of empathizing with, and I'm choosing my words carefully. Kind of sympathizing with you again. We have this gentleman putting the best of his intellectual persona to the brink for somebody who is essentially a political, and if he goes awry again, you know what? You feel as disappointed as he was before 2019, and at least I must praise your courage of character that in 2019 you came out just like I did to campaign against the person you campaigned for 4 years previously. So I'm here now feeling a bit sympathetic for you that the best of your intellectual resources and your intellectual persona in its entirety you are giving again to another politician.
Let me say, Bola, that I agree with you, but I looked at it and I've asked myself, remember it was when the university, when Babangida was the head of state, military president, and then he left us with a quotable quote. Of course it was copied, but he said that history will not forgive us for taking a wrong decision, but history will forgive us if we refuse to take a decision. And let me say clearly here that all my life, and just that's a coincidence, we both share over the past 10 years almost the same story. We stood out for change against the continuation of the Jonathan presidency, and we believed and worked profusely believing that Buhari was going to be a better option. And the first 4 years, my late father would say that when a man starts a dance, you know where the dance is headed. We saw that I've turned the APC cliche to all promises cancelled. We found out that most of the promises at that point were cancelled. They weren't living true to what they said on paper. And in 2019, we stood up in tandem with our choice and desire for a new Nigeria. It's been a consistent journey, Bola. I stood up and I said no. Between an Atiku Abubakar in 2019 and a President Muhammad Buhari, who understands the urgency of now the best? And I said it was Atiku. I stood with Atiku. He lost the election. But here, Bola, we are faced with a massive challenge. We have the two major parties settling for gerontocracy. We have the two major parties settling for those who were part of our sorry past.
If you say, my brother, quickly,
and I have said, I said I will not stay without taking a position this time.
And I respect, we must fundamentally establish the fact that it is your right and your prerogative to choose who you want to support, amongst candidates for an election. That nobody can take that right away from you. But when you use words like gerontocracy or gerontocrats or listen, I'm wondering, the first time I got a bit close to you, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was you were championing Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a political personage that you felt inclined ideologically and otherwise to.
No, that must have been a very long time
beyond that, like you rightly stated, some 4 years ago, Atiku Abubakar, I can empathize with you. I did not support him. It was 2019 that I started feeling, you know what, Bola, from this lot only a miracle can happen. Just let me now maintain my sanity by at least being fair to her. In 2019, you gave the best of your intellectual persona to Atiku Abubakar. Okay, maybe there's a dint of consistency. At least Peter Obi was Atiku Abubakar's vice presidential candidate in 2019. But at the end of the day, a couple of months back, maybe before his ambition to emerge as the candidate of the APC, about a year ago, just when the Yahaya Bello GYB political phenomenon was kind of gathering momentum, you were one of the most vociferous voices for him, and until he lost the shadow election of his party, I never saw a better GYBist than you. So one looking at the map now, we think this guy is all over the place.
Let me say clearly, Bola, that I should be the one begging for you to be a bit brief too. Okay. But let me say interestingly that one line has been consistent: the quest for a new Nigeria. When I supported President Muhammadu Buhari against a man from the South, it had everything to do with the quest for a new Nigeria, where frugality rather than profligacy is the key. When in 2017 I first resigned from the APC, because at that point, rather than live true to what we told Nigerians, don't forget that in 2014 I was DG Change Ambassadors of Nigeria, one of the arms of the campaign organization of President Muhammadu Buhari. And what we told Nigerians was that we were bringing change. And then in about a year into his regime, precisely about 2016, the President Minister of Information and Communication, Mr. Lai Mohammed, or Alhaji Lai Mohammed, told Nigerians that change had to begin with us, the people. Whereas during the election we had promised that change was going to come from the top, because leadership shows the way. I said, okay, we're not keeping true to our promises. Atiku had left the APC on that same count, and several other people, and then he ran for presidency. And I said, rather than continue with this failure, let's try something new. It was Mahatma Gandhi, who's one of my mentors, that said that I make no fetish of consistency. So as I leave, I will continue to pursue the good, the best good for the masses of our people. And if it means leaving one person to pursue a greater good, I would. And I tell you, in 2019, so many of us decided to say, okay, let's right the wrong. If in 4 years President Muhammadu Buhari has not kept to any of his promises, then let's try something different. Now, regarding the young man GYB, Governor Yahaya Bello, the reason so many of us, and at some point you were one of the parley that we had regarding his candidacy, was about youth, trying new ideas. The question has been, if the same class of politicians consistently failed us, can we just do something different? That's the consistent channel. It's not about an individual. It hasn't been. For me, that is why people wonder. Remember that you just stated about in the early 2000s. At that point, I had a fantastic relationship with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We saw him as part of the revolutionary processes that led the military out of power to the barracks. And now what happened? Just
wanting to be cynical now. Is it because you've left Lagos? Is it because you don't live in Lagos anymore? And you know what?
No.
You're an Abuja man now.
I left Bola Ahmed Tinubu long time ago.
Just joking.
And that's why I said it must have been a long time.
Prof.
And I'll tell you why. No, let me tell you why. In 2007, when he was leaving, he handed over power to Fashola.
Mm-hmm.
And then, at the point when Fashola was going to go for a second term, he almost didn't want him. He almost wanted to treat him the same way he treated somebody. That was when so many of us started looking at him with some level of caution. And then don't forget, for those who preach a fantastic Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ask yourself how many deputies he had as a governor. And then ask yourself why he fell out with his deputies. You know, he has always been Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the man who must be Lord over all. And that's why he has forgotten that the presidency is not about another person's right, or the presidency is not turn by turn. And for God's sake, I truly sympathize with those who support his candidacy, because if it were 20 years ago, if it were 10 years ago, perhaps it would make some sense. But, Bola, I want to be a bit cynical here. No loving father hands over a sick child to a sick doctor. No loving mother hands over a sick child or a feeble child to a feeble nurse. And that's enough words for those who think that they can cajole Nigerians into supporting the Tinubu card.
What if they come with the argument that that doctor, as sickly as he may look, or that nurse, as feeble as she may look, seems to have the mental wherewithal to tell other nurses or other doctors what to do?
Why does the Constitution provide for your head of state, your president, or a governor to be of sound health and to be physically fit?
Are you positing that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not of sound health?
I'm not a physician, but we'll see. Reps if saloquito. The fact speaks for itself. We'll see.
I was thinking that as a lawyer, you would have the evidence to support that.
No, but it's evidential. What I'm saying is evidential. You see it everywhere.
Prof, let me quickly do something that is most important for this program.
But Bola, can I come to the fundamental issue here?
You will come, because I want you to directly interact. You see, I know you know me, and over the years we have some form of relationship. But the beauty of a program like this is to allow the listeners to call in and ask questions, than even read some of the social media messages they've left for you to you. The numbers to call if you want to directly engage. I guess you obedient movement adherents will not disappoint today, because you are always very vociferous and you are always very boisterous on social media. So call in, engage with one of yours, and ask questions if you want to. And those also who may not be part of the obedient movement, if you want to task the intellectual or the ideological this strain of the movement, this gentleman is one of the best placed persons to ask. The numbers are 070-322-77338, 070-322-77338, or 090-9555-1039, 090-9555-1039. Good evening, caller. Your name and where you are calling from?
Yeah, my name is Chime. And yes, all I can say is all kudos to the barrister. We say the fact of the matter on every issue. Thank you.
That is a commendation for you, and in the backdrop of that commendation, let me read something that is a bit critical than Chime's positive remark. Hashtag power corridor. Mr. Gbola Oba wasn't wrong by his intro when he said the seemingly passion and hype of those in support of Peter Obi is majorly a tribal movement. No wonder the agitation and the agitators for actualization of Biafra has mellowed down. I hope if Obi loses the election, there will not be chaos and crisis. Adegboyega Adedeji. Prof, in the backdrop of the two opinions, one the penultimate by Chime and this one by Adegboyega, are we now breaking into tribal cleavages?
No, I won't get there. I won't drive the vehicle to that contours, because there are a lot of Yorubas, there are a lot of Hausas, there are a lot of Igbos, the Bibios, Jokuns, and thieves. There are a lot of ethnic people who are committedly obedient. And let me say this, that is for Boyega, principally, he doesn't know that one of the largest campaign offices in this country is the Obedient Campaign Office, and was donated not by an Igbo man, but by somebody from the north. That's point number one. Then point number two, which is very important here, is that we have seen the marches across this country. One of the first boisterous marches that the Obedient movement has led, it happened in Nasarawa. Nasarawa is not an Igbo state. Nasarawa State was the first major 1 million man march.
Prof, as is typical of you.
So let me still in this.
Please, quickly.
In Kano 2 days ago, Peter Gregory Obi landed in Kano. He went for political consultations. But boys on the streets, Okada riders, Keke Marwa riders.
Okay, Prof, but you are having boisterous calls, and I must let you know whether the efforts that people like you are putting in are getting the kind of responses. Caller, good evening, your name and where you are calling from, please. Sorry, the console is playing up. Prof, you may want to finish your point, but occasionally I may be another call. Okay, caller, good evening. Good evening, caller. Your name?
Evening, sir. Afolabi. Yes, sir. A student of Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I'm surprised whenever I hear Peter Obi coming on air, come and claim that Anambra looks like you can compare Anambra to Dubai. I live at Anambra. Anambra does presently, as I speak to you, sir.
Where in Anambra are you staying?
Oka, to be precise, Oka, Ifite, Oka.
Okay.
So I go down there and see the state of Anambra. I move around Anambra. Anambra is not in good look. They should please try and explain to us all what he did in Anambra.
Let Prof respond to that. Prof, like the gentleman stated, some have said that, you know what, he essentially left Oka a glorified village, that he didn't do much. He was saving money, but he wasn't quite improving infrastructure.
Let me answer him clearly, because and I would start with, as I address his issue, I would start with Sir Walter Scott once said, Bola, oh, what a tangled web would weave when first would practice to deceive. Let me say clearly that Anabra's Oka particularly, if he did say that he's a student or is schooled in Anambra and the State University, he would first of all realize that the State University in Anambra was one of the first few state universities in this country where workers and teachers do not go on strike. And that was because so much resources were spent on funding education in Anambra State. That's number one. Then number two, the road network. Oka was a village, but if you go to Oka today, and that's why I'm wondering, that's why I asked you, where does he stay? If you go to Oka today, you will see boisterous activities. Nobody can take that tourism away. And then after P2B, the man who succeeded him said that it was monies that P2B saved for the state that he used in building the cargo airport in Anambra State. Bola, as you and I talk, when P2B, before P2B became the governor of Anambra State, ask those who lived in Onitsha. There were days that they wouldn't go, banks were not open. There were days weeks that banks will open 2 times a week because of the menace of armed robbers and armed robbery. It was when P2B became governor that he helped the police in containing that menace of armed robbery. The truth is, when people practice to deceive or weave a web, it won't stick because we all know the facts are there for you to see. It's you can do a Google search on what Anambra was like before P2B became governor and what Anambra became after he was governor. I did state fundamentally, taking a state in less than 4 years from number 26 in the education graph to number 1, it's almost magical, and that is something nobody can wish away.
The numbers to call are 090 9555-1039, 090-9555-1039, 070-322-77338. Caller, good evening, your name and where you are calling from.
Calling from Ikeja. Can you hear me? My name is Afan from Ikeja. I don't know which Prof is that. It sounds like Professor Chris Nwaokabia. Is that him? Oh. I greet you, Professor. Good evening.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. My contribution is that when people try to do analysis or try to criticize, especially concerning the student that say he lives in Oka, that's good. You live in Oka, that's beautiful. When we want to make an analysis, we are comparing contestants in an election. First of all, you should know the way Oka was before P2B came, how it was during his tenure and afterwards. Then you'll be able to do what they call a comparative analysis. You don't just make a comment. I just am comparing Lagos with the Oka and so on. Then secondly, what is the GDP? What is the allocation given to Lagos compared to the one given to Anambra State as at 2007 or the time of Tinubu and Obi? That is when you will do what you call comparative analysis. You don't just compare apple and yam. Thank you very much.
Logical, rational way of letting people compare things. Prof, I have a WhatsApp message for you. Good evening, sir. Please ask your guest his opinion on Peter Obi's response to the Pandora Papers. Kole Ibejuleki. You want to respond to the 2 last messages?
Let me say regarding Peter Obi's response to the information regarding the Pandora Papers, that he has said clearly, and I'm not his legal attorney, I speak for the New Nigeria, I'm a leader of Country First movement. He has said clearly that at no point has anybody proven, and that's the truth, any untoward actions whilst he was governor. And let me say clearly here, Bola, that you know that if P2B was corrupt as a governor, he would have been a guest over and over again at the EFCC, because he has not been at any point a member. He's not one of those who have jumped to the APC to transmute from sinners to saints. No, he hasn't. And nobody has been dragging him from one court to the other on allegation of corruption. But I think that the struggle by people on the other side we have developed political archaeology.
Good evening, caller.
Let me put this in.
Good evening,
political archaeologists. Okay, go on. No, what? Okay.
Good evening, my name is Chris. I'm calling from Wishin. Okay. For me, for P2B, I give the head bridge road to him. I remember pass through. So, I remember what we passed through, going from Lagos to the east. Once you get to that head bridge, it's always a hectic, hellish traffic that you see. But after doing that road by P2B, no, the head bridge. Yes, the head bridge, but it's outside the bridge. Yes, after doing that bridge, all that traffic cleared, and it was a smooth sail crossing that bridge. And the back part, you can easily see the quality of the road that was done, which is the gutter on the two ways.
Okay. Okay, then.
Thank you very much. That's my contribution.
The gentleman who just called in now, I couldn't remember his name from Mushin, but he says that Peter Obi, when he was governor, before he became governor, it was hellish trying to cross the Niger Bridge to the Onitsha side because of the bad road and the traffic congestion. That it was during his tenure as governor, when he improved the quality of the road, and probably when he improved the quality of the road, that hellish, frustrating traffic literally was obliterated. So I wouldn't know what you want to say to that, but
no, that's true. That's true. P2B created, I think, it was about 6 lanes from the head bridge to town, because he needed to reduce the bottleneck. Like you noted, it was hellish getting into, from my home state of Delta, getting into
from Asaba end, from the Asaba end of the bridge to the Onitsha.
I'm from Ibuzo, about 5 minutes away from Asaba. So it was hellish for everybody around that axis. So what he did was to...
Prof, let me quickly cut in now. Let me quickly... Prof, for so long a time, Deltans like you will claim they are not Igbos. Suddenly now, Okowa, who some 3-4 months before was claiming he was not Igbo, now is using his Igbo factor as a complementary package for the Atiku campaign. Are you people that
just laughed? Let me correct you. There are people in the Igbo speaking axis in Delta who say that ancestral wise they are not Igbos. There are other people within that same axis who accept their Igbo-ness. I'm from Ibuzo, the town called Ibuzo. My people accept our Igbo-ness. There are a few other people who accept their Igbo-ness. I'm talking about historically.
We must say though at this juncture that Delta is very big, quite bigger than some West African states, and that
Delta is one of the most
very cosmopolitan, very diverse, multi-ethnic,
ethnicity, yes.
So I must not, out of joking, misinform my public.
Yes. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say now. You have, even in the Anioma, the Delta North axis, where people speak different variations of Igbo, some Ika, some Ndokwa and all that. Some admit their Igbo-ness, some accept their Igbo-ness, and some trace their ancestry to Edo State, some trace their ancestry to Igala, some trace their ancestry, people...
Indeed, as far as Onitsha, the royalty in Onitsha traces to Edo, so...
Yes, it's affiliated to Edo. They tell you that the staff of office is equivalent to what the Oba of Benin uses, and they look alike, even their traditional robe. But what is important here, Bola, as I speak to you, is the fact that those who are struggling and those who are trying profusely to paint the obedient movement with an ethnic brush, with a tribal brush, have largely failed. Because as you and I talk, I was telling you about what happened 2 days ago in Kano. Across the country, people are surging out and trooping out, and they are identifying with what I call the ballot-based people's revolution that is loading. And Bola, we are going to have a new Nigeria in 2023. We're going to remove from the tendencies of the past. We're going to move from
amen. I must say amen to that, because
a new deal with the masses of our country.
I must say amen to that.
Go on.
You are sounding prophetic, and I must, because I am one who also desires a new Nigeria, a Nigeria that will work for all of us, or the majority of us who are ready to invest diligence, value, innovation, creativity, and discipline into Nigeria. But let me wrap up, Prof, by asking...
Well, before you wrap up, please, can I still in this?
Okay, please.
My boss, Femi Falana, is not Igbo. He's obedient. Professor Bola Ahmed Tinubu said on national TV that he's obedient. We have a lot of people who are obedient, who are not Igbos, who are not from the southeast or from the south-south. We have people in not central, that middle belt movement is obedient. The Afenifere leader has clearly said that on the side of justice, he has decided to be obedient, and Afenifere is obedient. And so as I talk to you, what is fundamentally important is for those who are struggling to turn or to tar the Obi movement with an ethnic brush, to desist and think about the future of our country and the future of our children and indeed posterity.
My brother, on that note, I really want to enjoin you that those of you who speak for the obedient movement, those of you who are the vociferous voices for the obedient movement, should let Nigerians know that in no way, shape or form should the movement be painted with a brush of tribalism and be painted with the, with the
power of religion.
My brother, at this juncture, I want to say thank you. You are always good content to have on any political show, and you have really enriched this program today. Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a duty here, even if it is inconsistent with what is my personal disposition, to make sure that all the major opinions in our political space are heard, and because of that, we may still bring on this program another obedient movement supporter. I want to use this opportunity to enjoin Edward. You won a book the day that the former deputy governor of Lagos State guested on our show. His book that he kind of summarily reviewed. You called in and requested for one. The book has been waiting for you all through. Please, any opportunity you have coming on the Lekki axis, it would be nice if you pop into Law FM 103. We are very prominent. We are just by, what's the name of the? We are just by Ikate bus stop, or if you're driving, just Google navigate your way to the iconic facility. Please, we like to fulfill the integrity. We promised the book is available, autographed for you by the author. Please come and pick your book, Edward. Please. And also somebody called in on a live show, said he wanted a scholarship, and I promised the person the scholarship. I indeed took the number after the show and I sent the person, this is Gbola Oba, who promised you a scholarship on the radio show that you called into. We want to fulfill integrity. It is imperative to us so that we don't act like those that we condemn. That offer too is still pending. My name is Bola Oba. This is where we wrap up the Power Corridor show for Monday the 26th of September 2022. And my studio mama again, producer, program manager is Wale Ofigo. Mama, we see them next week. We see them Wednesday.